Ladies and gentlemen, coming soon, a podcast you've all been waiting for. The movie podcast to end all movie podcasts. A podcast that discusses and critiques the best of the best and the worst of the worst movies playing at a theater near you. With a host whose opinions have been deemed as fact by your favorite fact checkers. And that's a fact. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the movie maestro, the tyrant of theater, the gumshoe of review, the man that makes theater employees and Hollywood execs shiver by his mere presence. Ladies and gentlemen, the judge, the jury, the sultan of cinema, Justin Henson. Welcome to the Movie Wire.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. We continue our big movie week with the second episode this week of The Movie Wire, where I bring you 4 brand new reviews, and we bring back a returning guest. This week on the show, the saga of Michael Myers and Laurie comes to a spine-jingling climax in this final installment of the Halloween trilogy. Thank God. In Halloween Ends, Dante and Randal return to shoot a movie about their convenience store in the third installment of the Clerks trilogy in Clerks 3. Mila Kunis stars in the Netflix original movie about a New Yorker who seems to have everything under control but is faced with a trauma that makes her life unravel in The Luckiest Girl Alive. And of course, we welcome back our young critic, Brooklyn, to help review our new family film about a singing crocodile in Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows to watch a roar and a burst of flame. The Movie Wire podcast. With just meet people like me.
Podcast for hot and trending movies.
The Wire.
And here we go.
Randal, Dante, Jay, and Silent Bob are back in Clerks 3. Randal enlists the help of his friends of the Quick Stop after suffering a major heart attack. Randal is faced with his own mortality and decides to make a movie about the convenience store that started it all.
Can't catch my breath, man.
Really? Should I try mouth stuff?
What is this, a Tinder date? Get off of me. Oh, shit.
Mr. Dante!
I need an ambulance at the Quick Stop.
Saved my life, man. Wish I had a life worth saving.
What are you talking about?
Sit around and watch the same movies over and over.
I always thought you could have made a cool movie.
You're right. I'm living on borrowed time. No more watching movies.
I'm gonna make a movie! What's the movie gonna be about?
It's about him working here.
Meta.
Everything in the script is something either me or someone I know said.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. Maybe Jay and Silent Bob could be characters.
Jay and Silent Bob are like C-3PO and R2-D2. They've been here since the first movie, which was the last time they were cool. But they've been with the franchise so long, they still give them cameos and put them on the lunch boxes.
Snifty Booches! Please tell me why.
I believe in you.
You should put in that stuff you used to say about the Death Star contractors.
Get sued by Disney? No way.
Now that's what I call acting!
Take off your pants.
What the hell is this?
I added a scene where you get shot.
I'm not letting you kill me off in the third act. What if there's a sequel?
A sequel? What am I, a hack?
I think it needs more weed.
Clerks 3, of course, was written and directed by Silent Bob actor Kevin Smith himself. And there has always been something special about Kevin Smith's work as a writer and director. He has a sense of honesty, subtle humor without shooting for the rim shot. His writing flows like having a couple drinks with friends, and it just seems real. Smith almost allows us to peek into his life and his persona anytime we watch one of his films, like we're getting to know him for the first time. His directing style, even though basic and borderline sitcom-y, but it somehow always matches his messaging and tone of the writing. And even though at times his directing can seem basic, where his strength lays is in his cast and character direction. But keep in mind, I am not including 2010's Cop Out in the listed above statement. We can just forget about that one. But there is a lot of heart and courage that went into making a film like Clerks 3. You can see that Smith put a lot of personal touches from what he went through in 2018 after suffering a major heart attack. And this movie is another great example of Smith making his movies intimate and personal to give us a peek into the creator. As the end of a trilogy, Clerks 3 does something that many films have failed at, appeasing and satisfying the justification for an end. With our love of trilogies, it's hard to give a perfect ending to something that we have followed and gone back a second and even third time to view. I can safely say that Smith creates an end that will not only appease hardcore fans, but it will also appease those that haven't even seen a Clerks film. That is quite a feat to accomplish given that the franchise is 18 years old and has a huge gap between each sequel. Now, the original Clerks came out in 1994, the sequel Clerks 2 12 years later in 2006, and now 16 years later from the sequel we are brought Clerks 3. When we are first watching Clerks 3, those that have seen the other films don't realize how long it's been when the characters come on screen. We are just reunited with these characters that some have appeared in cameos in different films from time to time, others have gotten their own spin-off movies. But as we watch them, it just seems like yesterday that we just saw them on screen. Smith adds clips from the original 94 Clerks film, and it hits us on how long it's been since watching Randal and Dante for the first time. It's an emotional hit, not just for the love of the characters, but to kind of say to myself, dang, has it been that long? It's like running into a friend that we haven't seen in a while. The film hits all the emotional marks in a flawless fashion, and more importantly, we don't expect it, in which hits us harder in the tear ducts. This is where you can tell Smith put his personal and emotional journey since his incident in 2018. You can feel his thought process when writing and shooting this film. Now, the second installment of Clerks had more of a comedy element to it, and it was a big tone adjustment from the first film. This one has its moments of comedy, especially when we see the return of Jay and Silent Bob, and another good scene packed full of cameos where they hold auditions for Randal's movie. That adds a lot of fun to this, given the journey Smith is about to hit the audience with. The first half of the film does start off a little rocky, where the movie does feel off balance, and I almost want to say slapstick comedy, but it's not quite that. It's more of a silly comedy. You can tell Smith is trying to mimic the tone from the second film and transition the audience into this one, and this is where he misses the mark in the first act. You can see the struggle of transitioning from the second film to this one, and the thing that holds the first act together is our cast of Dante and Randal, played by Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. These two are comfortable as can be in holding the chaotic shots and shaking transitions together, but never losing sight of their original characters. They don't show drastic changes to who they are as quick-stop clerks, and as each character is introduced, the film starts to figure out its pacing. You can tell Smith wanted to introduce our returning cast as quickly as possible to snag the audience, but more importantly, get into the real story he actually wanted to tell. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about and analyze which one of the three films was better. Was the third better than the first film, or even the second? Clerks 3 made me look deeper into the franchise holistically. Each film adds something to the entirety of the trilogy. The first one was a unique vision, very likable characters, and was a good character-driven story. The second put in a heavier comedic weight of the three films, and finally Clerks 3 ties it all together with what feels like 2 hours of an emotional, entertaining conclusion. That some might not enjoy the ending, but others will find it a perfect conclusion to the three films. Clerks 3 is a witty, funny, and emotional cinematic ride that I didn't expect. It's like somebody blindfolded me and I thought I was going to a familiar ride like a Ferris wheel, but instead I got on a roller coaster. But did I regret getting on the roller coaster? Absolutely not. This was an emotional ride that stayed with me well after the credits rolled. And this is due in part to the fantastic job that Smith does with how he tells a story. Most of the fans of the Clerk films will be satisfied, and those that were not fans might rethink how they look at the films after seeing Clerks 3. I'm giving Clerks 3 a solid 3 stars. Now, before we get into the rest of the show, don't forget to check out my reviews for movies that just hit streaming and are available to rent or buy now, including Bros, Bodies, 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 Spirit Halloween, The Movie, Jeepers Creepers Reborn, Nope, and Rob Zombie's Monsters. You can find those reviews on my previous episodes, and just a reminder, if you haven't yet, make sure you hit follow or subscribe and leave me a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MovieWireShow. Now let's hear from my dear friend Leo that has the talent of always teaching me something new. Let's hear from Leo over at Voluntary Input.
Hi, I'm Leo Allen from Voluntary Input. Voluntary Input is a podcast in which I talk people and tech. and often I get to talk to some of the amazing people behind the tech. Simply visit voluntaryinput.com to find all the ways you can listen and subscribe to the show so that you don't miss an episode. Select Contact if you have any questions, comments, or show ideas, or better yet, select Register as a guest because we're always looking for great guests like you.
It's been 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills. Laurie, once again played by the amazing Jamie Lee Curtis, is living with her granddaughter Allison and is finishing writing her memoir. After allowing Michael Myers to determine and shape her reality for decades, Laurie has decided to liberate herself from fear, rage, and to embrace life. But when Allison begins to see a man that is accused of killing a boy he was babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that will force Laurie to finally confront the evil that she cannot control.
It's been 4 years since Michael Myers vanished without a trace.
Hello?
I was certain that I saw him watching me.
You pretend like you moved on, but you're actually just obsessed with death.
What are you gonna do when Michael comes back for you? Because he is coming.
But this time, something feels different. He's more dangerous. Maybe the only way he can die is if I die too. It all ends now. You came here to kill me, so do it.
Since 1978, we have been oh so blessed to have a visit from Michael Myers every couple to few years, with the longest gap between the movies being from 2009 to 2018, where we had Rob Zombie's re-imaging of Halloween that came out in 2007, which given the time of Rob Zombie's prime was one of his more tamest films, but also one I thought was an interesting take on the character. But again, we do have Rob Zombies that always has trouble with the way to show and tell a story. But fans got what they wanted with the return of Jamie Lee Curtis in 2018's Halloween, whom we haven't seen in the franchise since 1998 and 2002's Halloween H2O and Halloween Resurrection. 2018's Halloween brought back Jamie Lee Curtis in a respectable sequel, given that it was 11 sequels later to show us the aftermath of Laurie after years of trauma and paranoia brought on by Michael. And there was enough in the film to really breathe new life into the continuing story of Halloween that just didn't make it a slasher picture. Then something happened. The filmmakers and studios got greedy, sloppy, and I wanted to say, got lazy with the material. But looking at the writers, good God. If there was a movie to give a prime example of too many hands in the cookie jar, this would be it. Now, the previous two films, Halloween and Halloween Kills, had usually about 3 writers attached, and all 3 had at least 2 returning writers for the films, and that was director David Gordon Green and comedian Danny McBride from 2011's Your Highness, Pineapple Express, Land of the Lost, and TV shows Eastbound and Down and Vice Principals. But this time around, instead of having 1 additional writer to this duo, they added 2, which had a total of 4 people writing Halloween Ends. Good Lord. Now let me back up for a minute. Those of you that have listened to my previous episodes know I am a big fan of the less is more strategy, and I firmly believe when there are too many people involved into the creative writing process, more ideas are lost than there are given. Halloween Ends takes what good ideas from the 2018 version had and takes us nowhere with it. Instead, we are left with what the original sequels did to the franchise. They just made it a dumb Friday, Saturday night slasher film that you and your friends provide the sarcastic comedy for. The main difference is that at least some of the sequels, even though bad, tried to do something unique, even though failed, but at least they showed a small amount of effort. Some of them did. Halloween Ends turns into what would be just another hack and slash film, but with nothing memorable about it. And what is baffling how this film needed 4 writers to create a hack and slash movie. This is beyond me. Or it is a result of too many creative minds sitting next to each other playing tag without getting up from their chairs until they get tired enough to just say, okay, I'm done. That's good enough. Halloween Ends follows the same theme as Halloween Kills. It feels generic, thrown together with little to no skill, and it is very forgettable. I had to go back and watch Halloween Kills just to be reminded of it before reviewing this film. There is an interesting subplot that I wish the filmmakers kept and explored deeper, which is surrounding our character Corey, played by Rohan Campbell, who takes a shining on Laurie's granddaughter Allison, played by Andy Matichik. And Corey is the black sheep of the town after being accused of killing a kid that he was babysitting. His story is more frightening and intriguing than Michael Myers himself, and the film did have me guessing where it was going to go with Corey's character. The film keeps us guessing on Corey's credibility and mental state, and how his character was going to progress for the rest of the film. There is a scene that is the only memorable part of the movie where we have Jamie Lee Curtis in a chair calmly talking to Campbell, stating she wanted to help him. I wanted more of this chemistry, but the writer-director David Gordon Green pulls away from this, not knowing what he had. A good film sitting right there in his lap with the good performances from Curtis and Campbell, and he fails to realize this. There is a diamond in the rough in this mess of a movie, but the writers decide to take it to uninspired slasher film territory that won't even appease fans except for those that are just fans of Jamie Lee Curtis, which I am one of them. Don't get me wrong, she is good in this. Curtis has a charisma that is unique, and she can be enjoyable to watch in even the worst dumpster fires of movies. But when she appears on screen, it's like coming home to comfy slippers and a home-cooked meal where we just feel at home. But that doesn't make it a good movie. We just like Jamie Lee Curtis. When we finally reach the climax of Halloween Ends after 13 films under its belt, this would almost be a letdown to fans. For a film claiming, and I will use the phrase claiming loosely, to be the end of the franchise, the ending is unsatisfying, mainly due to the fact it will most likely end up a joke on the internet saying, if you told me the only thing I had to do to kill Michael Myers is a not sweet nothing refrigerator. Come on. This was the stupidest anticlimactic ending a 13-film franchise could be. If this is the way to take down a 13-film killer, this could have ended halfway through the very first movie. Halloween Ends goes back to its sequel roots as a brainless slasher flick that could have been a lot more given the subplot it expresses, the talent involved, and at least two of the writers that helped create the 2018 sequel. That was a decent watch, but this again is a prime example of too many creators involved to make a creative scary movie. When we have four people with their own definition of scary and horror, it ends up with a film that gives up on itself and goes back to the 80s slasher territory with no new reasons to cover our eyes. I'm giving Halloween Ends 1.5 stars. It's so hard to keep track and even have time to read all the trending topics on the web. Now there's a new app to help with all of those problems. Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science, to Bitcoin. You can even follow Kardashian. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you out loud. And guess what? They have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. The Movie Wire is now a featured podcast on the Newsly app. Download and use Newsly for free now. The link will be in the description of this episode. You can also use one of my promo codes that you will find in the description as well to get you a 1-month free premium subscription. Stop scrolling, start listening, download Newsly today. A sharp-tongued New Yorker, Ani, played by Mila Kunis, appears to have it all. A sought-after position at a glossy magazine, a killer wardrobe, and a dream Nantucket wedding on the horizon. But when the director of a crime documentary invites her to tell her side of a shocking incident that took place when she was a teenager at a prestigious Brently school, Ani is forced to confront a dark truth that threatens to unravel her meticulously crafted life.
My name is Ani Finelli. Soon, I'll be an editor at the New York Times Magazine.
Your voice is simply peerless.
And in 6 weeks, I'm getting married in a lavish but tasteful ceremony. Luke comes from money.
Let's go, babe.
But I have something no trust fund can buy. The edge. Love my work, hate babies. I'm this close to the life no one thought I deserved.
This is Ani.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. Larson, it's me. Tiffany.
Tiffany?
I'm working on a documentary about the incident at your high school. There are still so many questions that you've never answered. People want to know, Were you a hero? Or an accomplice?
Imagine what it's going to be like when they find out about what happened.
How could you not tell me about this?
I carried this horrible thing with me alone for years.
And it has built up this rage inside of me.
Honey, get out!
Don't touch me! I don't know what's me and what part I invented.
Your former classmate has made claims against you.
Don't talk about what happened that night.
Are you seriously trying to threaten me right now?
You have to get into the nitty-gritty details for the whole world.
Do you like your life, Tiffany?
Sometimes I feel like a wind-up doll. Turn my key, and I will tell you exactly what you want to hear.
Luckiest Girl Alive tries to cover a lot of barbaric, traumatic events that have made their way into our lives, from rape to mass school shootings. The subject matter is an important one to address and should never be overlooked, as there are those that have been victims of rape, and there has been family and friends that have suffered the tragedy of school shootings. The traumatic emotional impact of these events should never be taken lightly, and when a movie is made with the attempted message of strength, struggle, and how one would view the world after being a victim of these disgusting events, the filmmakers have a responsibility to ensure they have a clear vision on not just how to entertain us for a couple hours, but how this movie will affect victims of rape and those that have had mass shootings and murder creep into their lives. Filmmakers need to ask themselves a question before attempting a movie like this with not just one traumatic topic, but multiple. Can they portray a respectable message to show the real struggle that these victims go through? And through the messaging of telling a story through film, is it an effective attempt with filmmaking to be relevant in terms of relating tragedy, mental health, rape, and death to a story of redemption that sends a message to those that have fallen victims of these horrific crimes? With that said, the movie starts off with a stylish, ambitious Ani, again played by Mila Kunis, with her narrating herself reminiscent to the feel and style of the fantastic American Psycho, and the 2002 dreadful sequel to American Psycho 2, All-American Girl, where we see Kunis as the lead self-narrating just as we did her character in American Psycho 2, with her casual narrating in a high-class social environment and a visually high-class job and setting. I couldn't shake this comparison. It's like they just copied and pasted a more mature version of her American Psycho character into the first half of this movie, minus the killing spree. Now, her character doesn't stay this reminiscent of her American Psycho character after the first act, where we lose American Psycho's Rachel Newman and we start to get to know Ani. Now, whether or not that's a better character, it will be up to the individual viewers. While Kunis gives a power performance, this power performance was meant for a completely different movie, and I will get into that in just a minute. The film was written by Mike Barker, and in a unique decision, and one would think would be a smart one, the screenplay was actually written by the same person that wrote the original book, Jessica Knoll. It's a rarity to have this happen, and it's a smart play. If the original material is good enough for the movie, why not have the original author take a stab at the screenplay? And in pure fairness, I have not read the original book by Jessica Knoll, so I wouldn't be able to compare this. But with how this film progresses, I started to get more and more irritated on what this film wanted to be and where it wanted to go. The film's marketing points to a mystery thriller drama, but as it goes down the rabbit hole into what happens with Ani, I felt myself getting more and more disgusted with what The Luckiest Girl Alive was doing with these characters. It became clear to me in the second act that the film wasn't using its material for good, but for pure entertainment. It takes two very traumatic elements and decides to combine them, from rape to a school shooting, with no appropriate context or realistic emotional results from its characters. It's no secret that studios use these elements to get a reaction, and some of them are just reactions just by the mere topic of shootings or the mere topic of murder or rape. And some might not notice that this is a false sense of feeling in these movies. Just because you have the right and power to use these elements in your movie doesn't morally mean you can just use them to drive the entertainment factor without having the proper character elements to support them, without deep diving in who the characters actually are before and after these events. We see little to no emotional knowledge, and furthermore no development to Ani at all. The filmmakers cared more about focusing on the mystery and the revenge aspect, and used the traumatizing multiple events as a false emotional vehicle for the audience to get there. I wanted to jump through the screen to Ani's character, sit her down and ask her, "Are you okay?" These filmmakers are ignoring your story, but you can tell me. There is more to Ani, but the filmmakers use her character as a plot and the traumatic plot as the character. It is completely backwards. These filmmakers should be ashamed of themselves by using these situations as a pure entertainment vehicle and just a prop. And by the end of the movie, it takes 10 minutes to give us an ending that ties everything up in a nice little bow. As I said earlier in my review, Mila Kunis does give a power performance, but the character isn't meant for this movie. While she shows a strong but walked all over character, when we actually get into the emotional response from her, she's out of her element and it's not believable. And the shots are brief that doesn't even let the audience feel for her. There are shining moments for her in this movie, but unfortunately I wish it was in a different film. To give credit where credit is due, director Mike Barker, where he fails in character direction, he does have a strength and style and look of the movie, but that is also due to the credit of the cinematographer Colin Watkinson. Barker does have some really incredible shots in this, and I can't ignore that fact. He has a lot of unique and clever integrations to show an emotional impact, but again, the problem is it's never truly explored. Luckiest Girl Alive, where it has technical achievements and style, takes advantage of the audience by using an emotional topic trigger to give a false sense of an emotional impact, but the filmmakers put in no work to justify having these in the film without us knowing the character's emotional journey, or even the character period. Without those elements, it's just a high-end Lifetime movie. I'm going to give a little bit of credit for the end, only for those that have been through a horrific event like these in the film. If the ending can give you strength and hope, just a slight moment of hope for a couple hours of your time, then this movie does succeed in that aspect. But watching it for the full 2 hours, holistically, not just the last 10 minutes, it's not a good film, and it takes advantage of the audience. I'm giving Luckiest Girl Alive 1.5 stars. Brooklyn, it's your time to shine.
This is Brooklyn on the Movie Wire.
The podcast you've been waiting for. The Movie Wire is your show. The place to find what you're looking for. Movie lovers, the time has come. The Movie Wire.
Mr. and Mrs. Prim, played by Constance Wu and Scott McNeary, and their young son Josh, played by Winslow Fagley, struggles to adapt to his new school, new life, and grumpy neighbor Mr. Grumps, played by Brett Gelman. All of that changes when he discovers Lyle, a singing crocodile voiced by Shawn Mendes.
There's a crocodile in the house!
Oh, hello. You must be the new tenants. Hector P. Valenti at your service. I see you've met my crocodile. He's an extraordinary talent. His name is Lyle.
Mom, I swear to you, he's not dangerous. He's a crocodile. Okay, yes, crocodiles can bite through bone, and yes, they have a taste for human flesh, but he's not like that. He wears a scarf. And he can sing.
At the top of the world tonight, when no one ever has to hide.
Are you sure this is safe?
Who wants to be safe? We're here to live, and living is a dangerous business.
Treasure you can find, and something someone left behind. It can stay this way, at least until the morning light.
It's his first time in a taxi.
At the top of the world, the top of the world.
And before I get into my review, Brooklyn, you were excited to see this one, weren't you?
Yeah, I was.
You sound excited.
Yeah, totally.
So how excited were you?
I always cover my mouth when I laugh. I don't know why.
Oh, does your breath stink?
No!
Oh.
I just do it naturally. I can't even handle it.
So this one was the film that you were most excited about this year.
Oh, yeah, I was very excited.
Well, you ready to hear my review?
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear yours. All right, you ready to go?
Yeah.
You ready to hear my verdict?
Yeah. Are you ready to hear my verdict?
Oh, I'm ready. Let's get into it. Now, there is a small rarity of family films that come out that will not only entertain children and adults alike, but even more so make both the children and the adults stand up and cheer by the time the credits roll. Lyle Lyle Crocodile is a rare breed of entertainment that successfully makes this happen. This film will capture even the coldest of hearts and the stubborn teenager who, when asked if they enjoyed it, may shrug their shoulders in a teenage type of fashion and avoid any eye contact or conversation, but they will do so with a subtle smile across their face. And that, folks, for those of you that don't know, is teenage code for they liked it. Lyle Lyle Crocodile should be a blueprint for kids' movies going forward. It does something that I can't think of any family movie in the last couple of years has done. It kept a simple, innocent story, especially one based on a simple, innocent children's book, and it kept it that way. God forbid, in the wrong hands, this film could have turned into another family film that resorts to fart jokes, pop culture humor, and other jokes that just is in-your-face, fast-motion cutscenes, or even dialogue that is borderline questionable. The movie stays innocent, but gives enough likability to entertain both parents and kids, without just balancing humor back and forth from kids to adult. The movie uses none of these strategies to entertain the audience, where it's either just for kids or just for adults that still laugh at fart jokes. Don't get me wrong, farts can be funny, but it comes to a point where I start placing bets when we go to family films on how quick we will hear a fart joke. My best guess was the DC League of Super Pets, which my guess was 5 minutes off. That is a record into my household. Lyle Lyle Crocodile has nothing to question here. It's just an honest and innocent story that doesn't try to be anything more than that. It takes the material and it feels like a book on screen. It was a love letter to Bernard Weber, who wrote the original Lyle Lyle Crocodile series. Now here's something that the filmmakers do right. The cast seems to follow the directors Josh Gordon and Will Speck's vision on staying true to itself, and the directors Gordon and Speck seem to stay true to what the writers Will Davis' vision, and Davies respects the original material by Bernard Weber. Everybody seems to be on the same page, and it's absolutely refreshing to watch. The film just flows with the characters and the dialogue. Now, a writer Will Davies is an interesting choice for writing this film, but in retrospect, it's a brilliant one to take on this project. His writing shows an innocence and at times channels his inner child into his storytelling. He is responsible to some films that, if you look holistically, are basic concepts with simple dialogue. They are driven by concept and not storytelling, and they are some of our really guilty pleasures. He is more notably known for his first major project in 1988's Twins, but also some kind of movies we tend to just kind of brush off, but when they come on TV, you know we're gonna watch it. That is Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, The Real McCoy, Ghost in the Machine, Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde. Now, as his years go on, it seems like he finally found his niche into family movies. More recently, he also wrote How to Train Your Dragon. It's like Davies found his forte in childlike storytelling and a good use of his imagination. We now have one of Davies' greatest family films to date, and will surely be a family classic in Lyle Lyle Crocodile. Now, where the filmmaker's success is in this film is truly knowing where their vision was and not getting tempted to go off course. Now, this works 90% of the time. At times, I wish I could have seen more of Lyle in the family environment interacting with Mr. and Mrs. Prim to give more depth to the relationship of the family, so we get a bigger emotional impact towards the climax of the film. Their vision is a true and respectable one, but it tends to get glued to the material and refuses to just give in just a little. There are moments where we have Lyle and Mrs. Prim in the kitchen and a musical number to teach Mrs. Prim a valuable lesson. The film relies on these musical numbers to give a teachable point of view, but we don't get that with every character, which is where the film lacks a little depth and inclusion of the family. Shawn Mendes as Lyle is a perfect fit, where he adds a sweetness to what would be a rather terrifying thing to see, a singing, man-eating crocodile. This is yet another smart movie where it comes to ensuring the design of Lyle is taken as a cute rather than a terrifying figure. Now let's get to the music in Lyle Lyle Crocodile. It is toe-tapping, great, catchy, and it engages us. As a fan of musical, I would say some of the music, even though are memorable, seem repetitive, that rely too much on the same lyrics. The movie left me wanting more, and with a couple more well-written numbers with the other characters of the film, that would have left me a little bit more satisfied. But when it comes to the success of the songs, my rule of thumb of a good musical, if you can take one memorable song out of an hour and a half and 2 out of 2 hours, then the musical was a success in the music aspect. I currently now have 4 songs in my music library from Lyle Lyle Crocodile, so I would say that's a big win in my book. Lyle Lyle Crocodile is a film that should be in every family's library when it comes to disc or digital. Its messaging is great, its innocence is there. It's a film that parents don't have to worry about having a conversation with their kids about the content, other than just enjoy it. It's a rare breed in these times that sticks to the innocence of the book series with a musical spin that is almost impossible not to enjoy. The only thing that holds it back is a little seasoning and depth and more of the characters. But other than that, I encourage everybody to take their family and their kids to see Lyle Lyle Crocodile. I'm giving Lyle Lyle Crocodile 3 stars. Now, before we jump over to you, Miss Brooklyn, this isn't just for families. I think everybody would enjoy this movie. It is one of those that's almost impossible to hate. I'm going to say that with confidence because I'm looking at you and I'm really dying to know your review. Brooklyn, welcome back.
Hello, people. How's it going?
Oh, I'm just waiting for them to respond. Don't mind me. We'll wait.
Go. Just go. Talk.
Just go?
Just go. They can't talk.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
What? I thought I was.
What? Funny?
No.
How are things?
Good, besides middle school.
Middle school is rough?
Oh, yeah. The third period's pretty bad.
What's third period?
Math.
Oh.
Math I don't like at all.
But you know what? At least we can have some fun after school, right? Wait, did you do your math homework?
Yeah. She
Are
doesn't.
you just telling me that so you can be on the podcast?
No, she don't care.
Honor system, I trust you. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
You hesitated. What's 5 times 5?
Wait, what?
5 times 5.
25.
Oh, see, you're great at math. Look at that. All right. So now, Lyle Lyle Crocodile. This is the movie that you told me this is your number one thing you wanted to see this year.
Oh, yeah.
Now, did it disappoint?
Oh, no, not at all. That, oh my gosh. I can't even say it. It's like so good.
You are super excited right now.
Yeah, I'm pumped up. I got my drillion.
Is that a pet? What?
Adrenaline rush or whatever it's called.
Adrenaline. Got it. Got it.
Got all pumped up.
You're pumped up, ready to go on Lyle Lyle Crocodile. I love it.
Yeah.
So you loved it. I did too. What did you like about it?
Well, this is one of the best movies I've seen in so very, 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 very long time. And this movie gave me like OMG.
Can you
vibes.
describe what you just did? Because I don't think they can see you.
Oh. Well, explosion. And
it just blew your mind.
oh yeah. And the directors did so good. Josh Gordon and Will Speck did very good in this movie. Oh, I also found out that there's a book called Lyle Crocodile.
There is. It's a book series. I used to read it to you when you were a baby.
Really? I don't remember that.
That's because you were a baby.
Yeah, no, duh. I remember.
Can I read the books to you tonight?
No.
Come on.
No.
Be like old times.
No.
Oh.
We quit that last year.
Well, let's bring it back.
No. I know you're sad, but no.
Just once?
No.
Let's make a deal. Can I at least revisit the reading of the bedtime story at least twice a year?
How about 0 times a year?
Oh, ouch, kid. Ouch. Killing me. Oh, it hurts.
Unless you give me 2 of my favorite things.
My love and affection.
No.
What's better than that?
Dairy Queen and Spoons and Straws.
I am not buying you off to read you a story. No,
what? Spoons
ma'am.
and Straws is the best smoothie place ever.
No, ma'am.
Aw.
So what else did you like about Lyle Lyle Crocodile?
Also, I saw this in the movie. Winslow Vaguely is Lyle's human best friend. And he and Lyle, a.k.a. Shawn Mendes, they work pretty good together. That, if you already watched the film, you would know. Like, they were really good. They were like, this movie was so smooth. It was like so good and so smooth. I can't even handle how good that movie was.
Yeah, and for what it was, now, I talked about it in my review too. There wasn't really any like fart jokes. There wasn't anything questionable in the movie. It flows. There's not really a dull moment in the movie, and they don't use this fake generic stuff to just kind of push the story along. They use the characters and the story and some really great music.
Mm-hmm. And this movie is like so cute and smooth, and oh my gosh, it's like explosion in brain.
Yeah, and I would have given it a higher review, except I was missing, and you can give me your feedback on this too. I wish there was more music with, say, the dad character or some of the other characters.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the interaction with the entire family. And I know they do interact, but I wanted to see more music, I guess, is kind of where I'm going with it. What do you think?
I mean, this is one of the Shawn Mendes' first, like, only in speaker voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
And he did pretty good for that.
He did. And that's kind of where I'm saying that I wanted more.
Yeah, because Shawn Mendes, before this movie, I was, like, not a big fan about his music until this movie came out. I'm like, okay, I know Shawn Mendes is doing this, but, like, I kind of want to watch this to see if he messes up or does really good. So we went to
Wait,
this.
you wanted to see Lyle Lyle Crocodile to see Shawn Mendes mess up?
Kind of.
What?
Then it turned, I some reason sorry I did that just to see him mess up a bit. It turned on me.
He proved you wrong.
Oh yeah. That was great. I only have one song by him.
Well, now you have more.
Oh yeah, I have like 20.
Is that why you hung up like 25 posters in your room of Shawn Mendes?
Stop.
All right. So you liked Lyle Lyle Crocodile. You loved Lyle Lyle Crocodile.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything you didn't like about Lyle Lyle Crocodile?
Nope.
What?
Oh wait.
Yeah.
I kind of thought this was gross. They were dumpster diving.
Yeah, that was kind of gross. And I think the one thing that I was confused is when Mom got involved in the dumpster diving too.
Oh yeah, Lyle was just like, "Oh, let's throw you in the trash can." Woo!
Yeah, I don't know anybody that would be okay with dining on a rooftop eating garbage. But even that they made feel sweet.
Then also, they were eating pizza for breakfast.
Why are you looking at me like that? Do you want pizza for breakfast?
No, I already do that.
Since when?
Leftover pizza.
When do you have leftover pizza for breakfast?
Today.
Were you in the dumpster? Because we don't even have pizza in the fridge.
Maud?
That was for lunch. You had that after school.
Yeah, I had one piece this morning.
Oh, okay. How was it?
Good.
Other than the dumpster diving, anything else?
No.
I can't wait for this.
Oh, gosh.
What is your rating of
no,
Lyle?
I can't pick.
Lyle Crocodile.
I can't pick. It's like in between two numbers.
Well, it's not going to be a 1. It's not going to be a 2.
No, not
Are you
at
debating kind of what I was on? I was debating between 3 to 3.5.
3.5 to 4. I'll say 4.
4 stars. Wow. That is your best review to date.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I am not going to disagree with you. If I had to say that my favorite movie I've gone to the movies with you, this would be my favorite. I think this movie deserves everybody to go see it. There's not many family movies I can define as perfect. This one comes pretty darn close to it.
This movie is going to go far. And this movie will get some awards. This is like the best movie I've seen. Normally, I'm not a big fan of real life movies with animation stuff. But OMG, this is like...
For those of you listening and not watching Brooklyn, she just did the chef kiss of her fingers.
No, I did not.
And went voila.
No, I did not. I went like snapped and then clapped.
Is that a dance? What is that?
I don't know. I just do it when I'm like happy. I'm like...
I think that's the same dance you do when you're like hungry and you eat.
No, I don't.
It looks like it. Is that your hungry dance? Are you hungry?
No.
Do you want some pizza?
I go, I don't know.
Do you want some ice cream?
From Dairy Queen.
No, you've already had your Dairy Queen. Remember?
You didn't give me no Dairy Queen.
All right, that's it. Go to bed. Brooklyn, say goodnight to everybody.
Good night, everyone.
All right, go brush your teeth.
Okay. Bye, people.
And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. Next week, I will be back with brand new reviews. And again, thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support by following me on Instagram and Twitter and leaving me a review. Until next week, do me a favor, make sure you stay for after the credits to show support for those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film. And make sure you support your local movie theaters.
A verdict has been made on this episode of The Movie Wire by your host, Justin Henson. He thanks you for listening to the show. You can follow Justin on Instagram and Twitter at Movie Wire Show or visit his website, www.themoviewire.com. Oh, and don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Until next time, we will see you at the movies.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.